All right, welcome everyone to another deep dives. We always aim these at safety professionals out there, or really anyone who, wants to really up their safety knowledge.
Absolutely. And I think today is a particularly good one. We're going pretty deep down to some foundational stuff today.
Yeah, for sure. And we're doing it all thanks to Safety One Source. So
Yeah.
big thanks to them.
Yeah. Huge shout out to Safety One Source.
Hmm?
So I guess the best place to start is what are we diving into today?
Yeah, good point. So we're tackling the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act, specifically two very important sections, 1926.1a and 1926.1b, from a key safety and health standards document.
Exactly. And the goal here is, to really give everyone a rock solid understanding of the core regulations that, well, frankly, form the bedrock of safety in so many work environments.
Really critical stuff. So let's jump right in with section 1926.1a. What's the core message here for those of us in the safety world?
Well, think of 1926.1 as like a frying post, right? It points us directly to the actual safety regulations. It clearly states that this document, the one we're looking at, lays out the safety and health standards that are issued by the Secretary of Labor, all under, of course, the authority of the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act.
Got it. So we're not looking at the rule book itself in this section, but it's telling us where to find it.
Yeah, precisely. It's like, I guess you could say it's almost like a table of contents in a way. And to be very specific, it points us to Subpart C of this part and then all the subparts that follow. So like if you're looking for the nitty-gritty details on scaffolding or electrical safety, the real nuts and bolts, that's where you'll find them.
Okay, so Subpart C and everything after that is where all the specific actionable safety stuff lives. Makes sense. Now let's shift gears a bit and look at section 1926.1b. What's the role of this section?
All right, so 1926.1b zooms out a little, It gives us the bigger picture. Basically, it tells us that Subpart B of this document, it contains statements of general policy and also interpretations of Section 107 of the Contract Work Hours and Safety Standards Act having general applicability. A bit of a mouthful.
Okay, so if 1926.1a is like, telling us what the rules are and where to find them, is it fair to say that 1926.1b is giving us the why behind those rules, like the overarching principles or the philosophy behind them?
You know what? That is a really good way to put it. Yeah, I like that. Subpart B really lays down that foundation, that policy foundation, and it offers some key interpretations on how we should understand Section 107 of the Act, and importantly, how it should be applied in different situations in a broad sense.
So you keep using that phrase, general applicability. Can you give an example of what that looks like in the real world, for someone working on a job site?
Sure. Think about something like personal protective equipment, PPE. Subpart B might say something like, employers have to provide and make sure their workers are using the necessary PPE. That's the general principle. Then later on, when you go to Subpart C and beyond, you're going to find those specific requirements for different types of PPE in different work environments. So like what kind of respirator you need for a specific airborne contaminant, that kind of thing.
Oh, okay. That makes it much clearer.
Yeah.
So the general principles in Subpart B set the stage for those very specific standards that come later. So how do these two sections, 1926.1a and b, how do they fit together to give us that well-rounded understanding of things?
They're connected, really deeply connected. Subpart B gives you the overall philosophy, the legal interpretations, all related to safety under this act. It's the setup, explains the intent. And then 1926.1a swoops in and says, okay, here's where you find the actual, detailed enforceable standards. Go to the following subparts.
Makes sense. It's like you always got to understand the mission statement before you dive into the nitty-gritty details of the plan. So for all our listeners out there who are really dedicated to boosting their safety knowledge, what's the big takeaway about these two foundational sections?
Well, the key is that sections 1926.1a and b, they give you the framework, the essential framework you need to navigate workplace safety standards under this act. Think of A as your roadmap to the rules, the specific actionable rules, and B is like your guidebook to the underlying policies and interpretations that inform those rules. You need both, honestly, to make sure you're running a safe and compliant work environment.
Totally agree. It's about knowing the specific requirements and also understanding the bigger picture, the principles behind them. So before we wrap up, I want to leave you, the listener, with something to think about. Consider how this layered structure we've been talking about, the general policies in Subpart B shaping the detailed standards in Subpart C and onward. How does that contribute to a a consistent and comprehensive approach to safety and health. And I mean, across all the diverse workplaces that are covered by this act. And now that you've got this, this foundational understanding, what other questions pop up for you as you start digging into those specific standards?
Yeah.
Really think about it. And thanks for joining us for another deep dive. Couldn't do it without Safety One Source.
Yeah, big thanks to Safety One Source.
Definitely. Till next time, stay safe out there.